3 terrifying true horror stories that will haunt you. Are you ready to delve into the dark corners of reality? Tonight, we explore 3 chilling tales that blur the line between sanity and the supernatural. Stories that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. We begin with a young woman, her body contorted, her voice a guttural rasp, claiming to be possessed by an unseen entity. Then we meet the twins, their bond so profound, so disturbing, that it seemed to defy the laws of nature itself. Finally, we step into the nightmare of a family terrorized in their own home by an unseen stalker, a chilling reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we can't see. Picture a small Bavarian town in 1976. The air is thick with the scent of incense and fear. This is Anneliese Michel, a devout Catholic girl, just 23 years old. Anneliese had always been deeply religious, but her behavior began to change. She started hearing voices, whispering dark, insidious things. She saw demonic faces leering at her from the shadows. At first her family dismissed it as stress, but Anneliese's condition worsened. She would fly into violent rages, her body contorting. She refused food and water, her eyes haunted. Doctors diagnosed epilepsy, but medication did nothing. Anneliese believed she was possessed. She would claw at her skin, desperate to escape. Imagine the terror in her eyes as she begged for help. The family turned to the church. 2 priests were called to perform an exorcism. Can you imagine the weight of that moment? For 10 months, the exorcism raged on. 67 sessions, each one a harrowing glimpse into her torment. The priests chanted Latin prayers while Anneliese writhed in agony. Audio recordings of those sessions still exist. As the exorcism continued, Anneliese's physical condition deteriorated. Her last words were, "Mother, I'm afraid." And then, silence. Anneliese Michel was gone. She weighed a mere 68 pounds. The case sent shockwaves through Germany and beyond. Was it a case of untreated mental illness, as some argued? Or was Anneliese Michel truly possessed, a victim of something ancient and evil? The priests and Anneliese's parents were put on trial for negligent homicide. The question remains, what truly happened to Anneliese Michel? Was it the tragedy of a young life claimed by mental illness, or something far more sinister, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved? In the annals of history, there are certain bonds that defy explanation. Relationships so intense, so deeply intertwined, they seem to transcend the boundaries of our understanding. This is the story of June and Jennifer Gibbons, identical twins from Wales, known as the Silent Twins, whose bond was as profound as it was unsettling. From a young age, June and Jennifer were inseparable, 2 peas in a pod, their connection seemingly unbreakable. But their bond took a peculiar turn. They retreated into their own world, a world of shared secrets and whispered conversations in a language only they understood. To the outside world, they were an enigma, their silence both intriguing and unnerving. Teachers found them impossible to separate, their movements synchronized, their thoughts seemingly intertwined. Doctors were baffled by their behavior, unable to penetrate the wall of silence the twins had erected around themselves. Even their family, their own flesh and blood, couldn't crack the code of their peculiar bond. As they grew older, their behavior became increasingly erratic, their silence punctuated by bursts of bizarre and often destructive behavior. They would communicate through a series of intricate dolls, their stories filled with darkness and violence, a reflection of the turmoil raging within their shared psyche. Their silence, once a source of curiosity, now seemed laced with something darker, something unsettling. It was as if they were 2 halves of the same soul, forever tethered, their identities blurred, their destinies intertwined. Then came the arson, the petty thefts, acts of rebellion that landed them in Broadmoor, a high-security psychiatric hospital, a place reserved for the criminally insane. It was within the cold, sterile walls of Broadmoor that their bond, once unbreakable, began to fray at the edges. Years turned into decades, and still, they remained confined, their silence a haunting reminder of the mystery that surrounded them. Journal entries from this time reveal a twisted codependence, a battle for dominance within their shared existence. Jennifer wrote, "We have become fatal enemies in each other's eyes." And then, a chilling turn of events. Jennifer, her voice barely a whisper, confided in June, "I'm going to die. I've decided." Days later, Jennifer was dead, her heart inexplicably stopping, her body betraying her despite no signs of physical illness. June, released from the hospital, went on to live a relatively normal life, the silent twin finally finding her voice. But the mystery of Jennifer's death and the true nature of their bond continues to haunt us. Was it a tragic case of folie à deux, a shared psychosis that consumed them both? Or was there something more to their story, something supernatural, a bond so profound, so absolute that one twin couldn't exist without the other? The silent twins remain an enigma, a chilling reminder that some connections are so deep, so dark, they defy all rational explanation. Chapter 3: The Watcher. Imagine, if you will, the excitement of purchasing your dream home, a place to build a life, a sanctuary for your family. Now, imagine that dream turning into a nightmare, a waking horror fueled by unseen eyes and chilling threats. This is the story of the Broaddus family and the house that became their prison. In 2014, Derek and Maria Broaddus purchased a beautiful 6-bedroom Dutch colonial in Westfield, New Jersey. It was everything they had ever wanted: a spacious home, a friendly neighborhood, a place to raise their children. But their joy was short-lived. Shortly after moving in, a letter arrived, addressed to the new owner. The words inside were chilling, sending a shiver down their spines. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched it in the 1960s. It is now my time, the letter read. It was signed simply, The Watcher. At first, they dismissed it as a prank, a cruel joke by someone who envied their good fortune. But as more letters arrived, the tone grew increasingly sinister, the words dripping with menace. "Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested?" one letter asked. "I see them playing. Is their room the one facing the street?" another read, referring to the Broaddus children. Fear gnawed at the edges of their newfound happiness, casting long shadows over their once bright dreams. Who was this watcher, and what did they want? The letters were filled with intimate details about their lives, details only someone watching them closely could have known. The watcher seemed to know their every move, their comings and goings, their hopes and fears. The Broaddus family lived in a state of constant terror. They installed security cameras, hired private investigators, even consulted with former FBI agents, desperate to unmask the person behind the letters. But the watcher remained elusive, a phantom lurking in the shadows, their identity a terrifying mystery. The letters continued, each one a hammer blow to their sense of security, their sanctuary transformed into a prison of fear. The once welcoming home now felt cold, oppressive, the air thick with unspoken menace. They couldn't escape the feeling of unseen eyes watching their every move, their lives dissected, their every fear exploited. The psychological toll was immense. Derek, once a successful insurance executive, was a shadow of his former self, consumed by paranoia and fear. Maria, her nerves frayed, couldn't bear the thought of raising her children in a house that felt more like a tomb. In the end, the Broaddus family was driven from their dream home, defeated by an unseen stalker, their lives shattered by fear. They sold the house at a loss, unable to escape the shadow of the watcher. To this day, the identity of the watcher remains unknown. The letters stopped, but the fear lingers, a chilling reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we can't see, the ones who exist just beyond the reach of justice, their motives as murky as the shadows they hide in. 3 stories, each more unsettling than the last. Anneliese Michel, her life tragically cut short, leaving behind a debate about the nature of faith, mental illness, and the very existence of evil. The silent twins, their bond a twisted mirror reflecting the darkest corners of the human psyche. And the Broaddus family, terrorized in their own home by an unseen stalker, a chilling reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we can't see. What do you think lurks behind these stories? Was it mental illness, a cruel prank, or something more sinister, something that defies rational explanation? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's unravel the mysteries together. But be warned, once you step into the shadows, you may never want to leave.